Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be talking about carbohydrates in short. So first of all, what are carbohydrates, or carbs in short? Carbohydrates are energy-giving molecules in our diet which are made up of carbon dioxide and water. They are absorbed in our body in the form of glucose, and glucose is the molecule which our body uses to perform different functions, and it uses glucose to form energy in the form of ATP. Here's a simple classification of carbohydrates without any technical terms. First of them is simple sugars, starches, and fibers. Simple sugars include glucose, fructose, galactose, and table sugar, that is sucrose, maltose, and milk sugar, that is lactose. We have talked about simple sugars in detail in a previous video. I'll link it above in the cards for you to check it out. Now coming to the starches, starches are present in grains like rice, wheat, and also starchy vegetables like potato and other tubers. Now coming to the fiber, fiber is also present in grains and all vegetables. We'll talk about the role of fiber and its benefits in a video soon. Now among these three types of carbohydrates, simple sugars have a simpler structure and hence they're absorbed easily in our body. Now coming to the starches and fibers, they have a relatively complex structure, and starches take longer time to get absorbed in our body. As for the fiber, it doesn't get absorbed in our body. We'll discuss that in another video soon, inshallah. Now the difference in their structure has a huge impact on the blood glucose levels of our body. So here in this chart, the blue line represents the simple sugars, and the red line indicates the complex carbohydrates, that is the starch. When we eat simpler sugars or refined carbohydrates such as pastas, chocolate, etc., there's an immediate spike in our blood glucose levels, which the blue line indicates. And this is because the sugars have a simpler structure and it doesn't take long to get absorbed into our bloodstreams. But as for the starches, since they have a complex structure, it takes time for our body to absorb them. So when we eat sugars and refined carbohydrates, there is an immediate spike and a drop of our blood glucose levels. And these spikes and drops are not good for our body. As soon as the blood sugar level drops, we crave something again. But when we eat these starches and the complex carbohydrates, then we maintain a steady blood glucose level, and this is better for our body. So now let's look at the sources of carbohydrates. So carbohydrates can be found in cereals and grains. It can be found in legumes and beans and peas. It can be found in vegetables. It can be found in fruits. It can be found in milk products, and lastly, it can also be found in sweets and drinks. So based on what we discussed a while ago about the blood glucose levels, let's look at which carbohydrates are good for us. We can eat plenty of fruits and vegetables and whole grains, as these are all natural and rich in fiber. And milk products are good too. But there are certain carbohydrates that we should limit. They include all the refined carbohydrates such as pastas, noodles, and cupcakes and cakes, and other desserts. Now, coming to the carbohydrates that we should be avoiding, first of all the soft drinks, fruit juices, energy drinks, and all the other kinds of drinks that contain sugar. These are not good for us, and we have discussed that in an earlier video about sugar. I'll have that linked above in the cards for you so that you can watch it. Now coming to how much of carbohydrates should you eat? Well, we have done two videos on this topic. So the first video talks about how much should you eat in general, and the second video talks about the proportions of nutrients that you should have in your diet. So I recommend that you watch these two videos to understand how much carbohydrate should you eat. That's it for today. If you like this video, then be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamualaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.